Hey, welcome to another edition of the Geek 2.0 podcast. I'm Josh, and today we got Tommy, along with the other person that is here all the time. Oh, he's here. It's like, what's that, Cheers? Everybody knows your name. It's Cliff, but the other Cliff.
Just be Norm, just give me a beer.
How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, we're doing all right, as much as it can be this year.
Yeah, I think it's all relative now.
Yeah.
I think it's all, yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about, some light-hearted stuff, like 2020. Not much has gone on. We might have like a game release or two, or something extra happened. I don't know. It was a boring year this year.
Relatively uneventful. All I heard was a couple of wildfires, and I think that's about it, really.
Oh God, that was this year, wasn't it? Jesus Christ!
Oh,
it was all this year. It was everything ever existed this year.
I'm not even talking about California, Australia, right?
No, an entire continent.
Yeah, I got it.
The ground. Yeah. Like.
Oh yeah, Australia was this year too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was 2019.
No,
it was late. It was like Christmas time last year, starting the beginning of the year.
Yep.
But yeah, it's another thing, because last time we had you guys on was what, March, April time.
It's around the beginning.
Yeah.
And even then, it was kind of like, we can do some things to help these people. And
we also thought it was only going to last a few months.
Yeah. Oh, by the time it gets hot, it'll be gone. No worries.
Yeah,
it's no big deal. I have good people talking about it. They're on to it.
Best and brightest, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot has happened. COVID. This is also election year, and
there was also an impeachment as well that also happened in 2020.
True. Yep. Anti-science.
Riots.
Yeah.
A couple of
you got your bingo sheet? Go.
A couple of movements going through.
There's enough that happened this year that it will fill the news for the next couple years.
Yeah. I found out John Tesh is a big fan of QAnon, which was a shock to me.
What?
Yeah, that was a weird thing I learned.
I never would have. I'm surprised.
I don't even know what that is.
I'm gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
It's like 4chan, but
but worse.
Yeah,
pretty much.
They got kicked off of 4chan and had to go to 8kun, which was created. Deep rabbit hole.
Yeah, it was one of those things where at the beginning of the year we kind of like, this is not going to be anything, but needless to say, it is pretty much went full nuclear on everything.
Oh yeah.
So where you guys want to start? What do you want to start with? Pick a topic.
I feel like we should start from the least insane to the most insane.
Okay.
Let's see. What was the?
What's the least insane?
Yeah. So if you really think about it, the most least insane thing that we had happened was a president was impeached, because that at least happened 3 times before now. Everything else, if you think about it,
at least went to the board of impeachment and never actually got pushed through.
That's like the third, that's the third, technically like the 4th time that's happened. So that seems relatively normal.
Twice in our lifetime.
Yes, correct. So we had a president that was partially impeached, and then that was just a thing that went away out of nowhere.
California
just
fires.
By the way, this happened. Yeah, okay.
And then Tuesday happened, and then we had an entire state and a seaboard almost burned to the ground.
Well, let's go ahead jump into COVID-related matters. Let's go ahead and go with that. So at the beginning of the year, we kind of thought, oh, this is going to be bad, but not as bad as we thought as it is. We see today. Back then, we kind of thought, okay, maybe what 60,000 at most by the end of the year. Or no, the projector was still high, but we didn't really see that because dummy us thought, hey, at least people would understand and try and do something and keep hospital levels down. Try not being
We
as
did
dumb as they
for
are
like
now.
2 months, and that was about it.
I think 2 months is even too much credit.
I know.
Yeah, because
Maybe 2 weeks.
where I obviously we all live in Florida. I live in northern Florida, which Florida has this weird quantum physics kind of realm that the more north you go in Florida, the more south you get in the country. So
Well, you get that bleed over from Alabama, Georgia,
yep.
Mississippi.
I live about an hour away from the Georgia border, and where I'm at, nothing existed for COVID prevention at all. A matter of fact, it was like a bold, like a statement on your sleeve. You're like, no one's wearing masks in town. Nothing's getting shut down. So you guys were obviously in a better position than I was.
Well, even
At least it was like known. We're in more of the melting pot where you have both arguing always.
It is a strong suggestion to wear a mask, and that as much as that it is what it is. Some of the actually in Tampa, it's like enforce, but not actually enforced.
It's the same kind of people that think they know better than the GPS in their car. Yeah.
Oh, you want me to turn right? No, I know a better route. It's this way. It'll take less time.
Yeah.
Now, this area is kind of like Cliff said, it's suggested where even if you do go in without, you'll get maybe one or two people look at you, but everyone else, you can tell, like the people that work at the places, they're so over it. They're just like, oh, here's another stupid idiot.
Yeah.
Well, they just had a video that went viral a little while ago
The
of
person that quit. Yeah.
yeah, the poor woman that worked at Denny's, and she was just like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm tired of these people, and she literally just put down her apron and walked out the door. And she was interviewed later, and she's like, no, this is like a daily event. She's like, there's always somebody, and they have to yell and scream about it.
And you know full well because they came in with the camera, they were looking for something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've actually bumped into that here.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh yeah, I've bumped into that multiple times here. Just picking up stuff at Target, or just walking into stores. There's constantly somebody arguing to the point where at this point, people that work at stores don't even want to fight. Like they're just like, yeah, it's fine. Just I don't care at this point.
Get him in and out.
Nothing like
Yeah.
the American spirit beat of people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
if
guess
we
it depends
if
who
we
you
can't
ask.
take you down.
Depends who you ask. The people that are the ones arguing feel that they are arguing for the American spirit.
Well, that's the thing. That as much dedication as one person has on one side, it's the same way on the other side. Like they think if you're wearing a mask, you're insane.
Yep.
Matter of fact, one of my favorite counter protest memes on that is somebody showing a family all together, smiling, walking through a store, and then they show people wearing masks, and they show that the people that are not wearing anything are the normal people, and that the people wearing masks are the conspiracy theorists. So
That's the part that always boggles my mind. Like, how do you the 90% that understand, and then that 1% you're like, I know there's something wrong with this, and just continue just to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna do my life and not care. Like,
Well, the problem is that it was politicized.
I get that part, but
the very
like,
beginning. But you got the people that think, oh, my freedoms are much smarter than you, the scientist. You went to 8 years of schooling. Well, I did a 20-minute search on YouTube. I know more than you do.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's I spent a better part of a decade becoming an expert in this field, but your cousin that works at Walmart read a thing on the internet from a website mostly in Russian and spelt incorrectly, that says, no, that's how they put microchips in your brain, man, is through those masks. You're inhaling the microchips.
Yeah. And then it's the same thing with the vaccine. It's like, oh, you're going to get implanted with that microchip.
Listen, if microchips my biggest problem, I'm doing all right.
Yeah. Oh, and then the 5G. 5G.
That was right. That was one of the conspiracy. Oh God.
Yeah.
To the point where they were burning down 5G at just cell phone towers because
That was in the UK, I think, right? I don't know if they came here too.
Well, I don't know if it was here as well, but we brought it up last time. Everyone.
Oh, did we? Jesus.
Yeah. It was like they're doing. It happened like maybe a month before that episode, and it was just one of those things like, what?
Well, it's one of these things like, you try to mention facts, like, all right, there's statistics, there's science behind this, it's peer reviewed, things along those lines, but also just straight up like looking at what it kind of blows my mind where, you show an example of a country that has either a very low number or some countries that have no COVID at all. And I understand, United States is a larger country, stuff like that. But it's like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. We might as well go out, drink, hang out at bars, go to restaurants. And it's like, well, in New Zealand and Australia, they shut down for 2 months, period. Just you couldn't even leave the house other than for necessities of life.
Right.
And now they have 0 cases and their economy's back. People are going out, and
it's a weird flex, but it's a good flex in that sense of
it is.
Well, there was one person I follow on the internet, and she was getting yelled at on her page because she wasn't wearing a mask when she was going out. And she had to explain to people in America, she's like, no, we just don't have COVID here. Like, it's not a thing. Like, we're open. And they're like, what do you mean you don't have COVID? She's like, we shut down for 2 months. Everybody had to stay home. And then people got better. And she's like, I can hang out at the beach. I can go to sporting events. I can go to concerts. She goes like, we just don't have it. And
yeah, is that one picture of the football stadium?
Yeah, rugby tournament.
It's completely filled. Everyone's having a great time. It's like, hey, this is life without COVID if you do the right thing.
The problem is they're taking it the other way. They're using that as the example of, see, we don't have to wear masks. That's our government trying to do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't watch people shut down for like 2 months and everything.
They did. They just didn't believe it.
Yeah.
And now they're thinking, now they're not putting 2 and 2 together. It's 2 separate things.
They also had the support from the government as well.
I was literally just about to say that, Josh. Here, they actually got funding to stay home for 2 months.
Yeah.
Versus, just in the sense of like they got it every month.
Even if we did the funding, there's still people that would refuse the funding because they don't want the government to do that.
No,
they want to earn their money.
It.
They want to make their money. They want to. No, I know for a fact there are people.
No, I absolutely get it.
I could name people, but I'm not going to. I would
trust me,
the money.
Absolutely. But that is also an incentive for the average person where, well, I need to make a job. I need to make money so I can keep rent and all that other stuff. Food. Tommy, you posted a thing where they were showing like food truck lines that were, in Texas that were like filling up the highway.
Yeah, but they were waiting up to 8 hours for food.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, that $2,000 or whatever the amount of money would have helped those normal people would have stayed in versus the extremes would be the ones that are out kind of deal.
Well, and it's not even like a state thing necessarily. It's it's a regional, it's a county kind of thing. And one of the examples I give is a couple weeks ago, one of the people that I was recently around was diagnosed with COVID. So precautionary, I went and tried to get a test. So I know where you guys live. Once again, it's a mix. Of people. Mine is COVID's not a real thing. Like that's actually our mayor's statement in my town. We actually made national news.
Yeah, I remember that.
Our town made national news because he refused to do any orders of shutdown and actually told business. Yeah, and also told the cops not to wear masks. So he did 2 things: not to shut down. My town was open for business as far as he was concerned, and then he told the police department not to wear masks. So in my county, I went to go get a test, and I went to a clinic that was offering tests. And I went, and because unfortunately, the company I work for has really bad insurance. They told me that it was going to be $500 out of pocket to get a test at this clinic. And they suggested to me, and even then they come up to me and they're like, listen, don't pay the $500. This is dumb. They told me about the county ran clinic that they had, which is at a field not too far from where I live. That field is only open Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Yep.
And that was it. Luckily, I found out through my insurance that I was able to get tested at CVS. So I went there, came back negative. But for somebody that doesn't even then, if you don't have insurance, CVS charges $150 for the test.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where you make it as hard as possible for people to get tested, to the point where people I know, they're like, I'm 90% sure I have it, but I'm not even going to bother because I just assume I have it, and I don't want to take the 4 hours to get the test. So.
And even then, at the beginning, everyone was just like, even if you don't show symptoms, don't worry about it.
Right.
You got it to stay home.
Yeah, just stay home. It's fine.
Yeah.
And
because at the time, we didn't have enough.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I had heard that there was that the government, like local state of Florida, was telling like funeral homes to not report on deaths that were coming in.
Morgues.
Yeah.
Well, and we also our state made national news after the woman who was the whistleblower saying like, hey, we're not actually counting the real numbers. Here's what I've taken from our government, our state government, and she released it all online. Her house was just recently raided by the police department. Yeah. And that's to the extent. It's it sounds like a crazy conspiracy, but here's the video of the police, and they said that the reason why is apparently they claim that she hacked into their social media account. That's why they raided her house and took her computer and all of her documents.
And the funny part is, because it's the stupid shit like this, is that they never changed the password to access that database after she left. If she was the lead person on the program.
Yep, and they went in and just took her stuff. But it's obviously our state is infamous for not doing things the best way. So
yeah, it's just one of those things where we've constantly gone throughout the whole year trying to figure out exactly what best ways to go about things, especially with school reopening. That was a whole nother thing where no one was kind of prepared for it, especially with the new school year starting earlier, since a couple months ago in August. And a lot of people were complaining is that the online portion of it still to this day is not without faults. I mean, it's still not perfect. It's still not going the way it should be.
Even in university levels, there were problems, and you're now imagining trying to do it for the entire state or states using a program that's not the best tool for it.
Right.
Well, not only that. Go ahead.
Okay. One of you, go for it. There you go, Tommy. There you go. Raise your hand.
Tommy, go.
Okay. So, and it also showed like, all right, how ill prepared the United States as a whole from an internet infrastructure is. We've got internet deserts where there's still 1.5 million people in the United States that only have access to dial-up internet or DSL. And that's not fast at all. That's definitely not enough to stream live video or be on a Zoom call. And to the point where underserved communities had to use churches and other buildings and basically have their kids sit in parking lots on their laptops just to be able to have access to usable internet.
Yeah.
The other thing that we got to keep in mind, though, is it's easy to look back on the year and go, this, point at the internet. Again, This was only supposed to be a short-term thing.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So, yes, it wasn't the best tool. Yes, it was horrible. It was crappy. Yes, no one was prepared.
But
it was only supposed to be for a month or two.
Which was fine at the beginning, where they were trying to use like Teams as the adjunct thing, and then they were like, "Oh, we have a summer now, and now let's think about it." And they didn't, and they found
But at the same
here's
time,
the solution.
they didn't think that they would have to at the beginning of the school year.
I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're pretty much going month by month or a couple weeks. Like every 2 weeks, it's like, oh, we'll have a meeting, see where we sit. Okay, we're still at the same position. Where
No
we were
one,
at 2
yeah,
weeks ago.
no one has taken this as in like, no one wants to completely reinvent the wheel, for lack of better words, on how to deal with life without doing it the way we were doing it before. They just want to put a Band-Aid over a very large gaping hole until that water runs out, basically.
Yeah, it's a stopgap measure. It's putting your finger in the dam, hoping that you can stop the tide from coming in.
Right.
And at this point, because we've bumped into this kind of situation, you can't really blame any organization or anybody going like, oh crap, we don't know really what to do at this point. Like, we may be open next week, we may not be open for a year and a half. Like, what is this going to look like?
Well, which is funny that you say that. Like, my cousin who works in New Jersey, which is not that far from New York, but still, like, they have their kids get scanned every morning before going to school, and if someone tests positive, they close down that school or close down those units, and they continue to go forward. Here in Florida, we don't even do temperature checks. Like, and they're like, well, you keep going until you can't.
Well, and there's so many issues that you bump into. Like, all right, so I'm assuming that all of us pretty much work from home. I know I had the opportunity to do so. Sorry.
No, I go into the office, but there's like 5 people in the office.
Yeah, you're in a different situation.
Yeah.
You have the ability, you just don't have the
opportunity.
The ability.
Yeah.
He's got the opportunity, he doesn't have the ability.
Right. Yeah. So you bump into this, and it's like, all right, what do you do as a parent? All right, I'm in the service industry, I'm in the healthcare industry, I'm exposed 90% of the time. I have to come home, and now my kid's got a cough. Well, I don't have a salary, I work hourly, I make X amount of dollars. Well, the school tells me that I have to report this to my school, and my kid has to be quarantined, even if this is just a cold, for 14 days. That's what it is by me. So parents, I constantly hear, because our kids are not in school, because my daughter's class is constantly under quarantine. They're constantly sent home. It's, what do you do in that situation when you can't work from home, you can't take the time off, and your only real option is, I still have to send my kid to school.
And the weird thing is, they did this before COVID. Like, people would come into school absolutely sick.
Oh yeah.
And my wife would come home sick at least several times a year. And even with all the measures that she's taking, she actually hasn't been sick. I would assume Susie is the same way with all of everything. She's prone to getting sick. She hasn't been sick since all
aside
this.
From the occasional allergies that last like a day. Yeah.
Right.
Nothing.
So you can't tell me that, like, washing hands, social distancing, and masks don't work when you can absolutely see them work. You know what I mean? It's that weird kind of like.
But again, unless you're in it, you don't see it.
I know.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
It's just.
What about my freedoms?
What about your freedoms?
Because one of my statements that I used to say to people,
don't matter.
You're not going to make me wear a mask. One of the things like, well, we make you wear clothes. Like,
stand-up seatbelt and a driver's license.
You can't make me wear something that I don't want to wear. It's like, can you walk around with your cash and prizes hanging out in public? Maybe it's something
dangling over the edge.
You can, but for how long?
Yeah. I'm like, but we make you wear clothes. You have to wear clothes, or it's indecent exposure. The worst thing is that if people wear it like their masks, they just have it hanging out over.
Diaper?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the chin diaper. Yeah. But yeah, it's the same thing with like the seatbelts. It's like, what? Actually, I did look it up when I saw that constantly coming up. It's like when they first enacted the seatbelt laws, people were against it, like we see today.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, there was conspiracy theories that
telling me to keep myself safe.
Yeah.
It's like, no, go ahead, get into a head-on or a quarter, whatever it's called, and go flying through the windshield.
Yeah.
No, by all means, go ahead, do that.
And
And the same
go
thing
ahead.
with how like the influenzas that was happening like in the 20s. They had the same thing. Nothing changes. We don't change as a species,
No.
unfortunately. We still have those things. It's just we have technology that can assist them to have their side brightened at that point.
Well,
or
I
it
think
just
it's
becomes
The,
the norm because it's been around for so long.
Right.
yeah.
well, it's like a double edge of just, and I think the weird thing is that I constantly kind of had this conversation with one of my friends. What would this have looked like in the 1990s or 1980s before having access to work from home and to learn from home? And like, all right, you had to watch whatever what was on TV, but there's also a counterpart to that is, well, your only real news that you would have gotten about the viruses via
Right.
newspaper.
Yeah, your local news and
Your
maybe
local
like
news,
the
and
national news.
they would have said, "Hey, there's a virus. Wear a mask." And there was no way that you could go somewhere else and say, "That doesn't sound right to me. Let me go ahead and see what Bob at Walmart says and on his blog."
You could, but it'd be like you'd have to go like the bar or the
Yeah.
church or wherever large groups would be.
Those very small information silo dumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at that point,
you get the whole people coming in thinking of the same thing, but there's maybe 20 to 30, maybe 50 at the most.
Right.
With this one group, and now it's within this one little 2-mile radius.
Yeah, but then the flip side of that is the guy at the bar is like, "Did you hear what John said? He was talking about microchips. That dude's crazy." And it's like,
microchips.
They're like, "Yeah, they're gonna put microchips in the syringe.
How are you gonna stick this in my body?
You're gonna have the mark of the beast on your forehead." And it's like, "All right, John, calm down."
I think my favorite that I've seen so far regarding the vaccine and all that is the fact that it's from the same company that does the penis pills. So it's like, you trust us with your penis, but you're not going to trust us with the vaccine.
Yeah. The biggest breakthrough in medical history for the better part of 20 years.
Oh yeah, but hey, still working on that cancer.
Yeah.
Or Alzheimer's.
Meanwhile, you hear very little to nothing about the speed at which they've come out with something like this.
Yeah.
Which is unbeknownst in history.
Well, once again, you have enough money and you could throw it at it. Things happen.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you, though, what we're capable of.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We don't want to do these things.
No.
Well, when Disney can't open 100% of its park, that's when stuff gets done.
Yeah.
The thing I find funny in that same event of like, well, you can focus. It was a Chris Rock, I think. It was a stand-up where he's like, they're not going to cure AIDS. They'll just patch you up so they can get money out of you. If we weren't on the biggest scale of how things are going globally with this, I think they would have just patched it up just like the cold. They would have just figured out a way to just, like you said, Band-Aid it until it's done, not to be able to, since it became such a focus and such a narrow looking at it. That's the only reason why that we got a vaccine.
Well, and there is an upside to this. They just put out a study that even though there's the crazies and the anti-maskers and COVID ain't real people, they've actually shown that more people nationwide have started to trust science once again.
Hey.
So they're like, I'm going to listen to my doctor. We live in a very weird state once again, in a very weird environment. But the rest of the country, the populace is saying like, all right, I am going to stay home. I am going to wear a mask. I am going to do this. And Anthony Fauci is my own personal Lord and Savior. So, like those people do exist.
Which is a great thing to see, that the movement to actually listen to people who have experience and not just spouting off a random diatribe.
And the experience in the field. Like I can say, like he's an infectious disease doctor. He knows what he's talking about. But if you asked him, like, how does airplanes work or rocket ships, and put him in that field, I don't think you would get the same results. And that's where people are having that weird, like, well, he's smart, but is he smart about what he's talking about kind of deal? Well,
and it's a lot of people debate like now at things. it's called the death of experts. It's no one wants to believe an expert because they think, well, that person. Once again, it goes back to the statement. But I know how to work on a car, so you can't tell me he's smarter than I am. And it's like, well, did you spend 30 years of your life researching car and engineering? Then fine, you are as smart as Anthony Fauci in that area.
Right.
But Anthony Fauci, I'm not going to trust you to go ahead and create an RNA to stop COVID.
Well,
It's
you
like,
could have
yeah,
someone
asking-
with a you could have someone with a lower IQ who has spent all of their life studying one subject,
Oh yeah,
Right.
and someone who has a much higher IQ who has spent a year studying that subject,
Mhm.
and the person with a lower IQ is going to know more.
Right.
oh yeah.
That's just the way
Yeah,
that it
It's
is.
just experience.
Yeah.
So I think what we do is we'll go ahead transfer from the bad side of everything from 2020. Let's talk about the good stuff. It's that little glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. I know there was some slight good things that happened.
I like how both Tommy and Cliff started trying to think like
I literally chased off. I'm like,
they both had the same. Oh crap! All right.
Well, we had SpaceX send off 2 missions, crewed missions, to the International Space Center.
Mm.
That
they're
was the
not
first
back
time
yet. I'm
in
waiting for that
20 years.
space virus to come down with them. So.
That was another
Oh,
meme.
hold your
Rock,
horses.
paper, scissors. Who's going back to Earth with all this?
It's like, no, I'm gonna stay up here where it's safe.
I'll stay here for another 6 months. Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the first time they sent 2 people up, and then the next one was a month or so ago, is full crew of 4. And successfully did it and returned. It's actually great to see like the rockets come back down, landing pretty much on a dime.
Except the one.
Well, I mean, how many times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rockets are going to blow up eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually,
It
I
just
have to say.
happens.
But it's in that same vein, it's like everything works except that one time.
Yeah. It only
That
takes
little guy?
one time.
Don't worry
Yeah,
about that little guy.
Good guy. Exactly.
Yeah. That little 0.1, man, don't worry about it.
Is that tape
But it-
on there? Is that what that is? Holding that thing on there?
Yeah.
Nope.
Listen, it's
Space age
mighty
material.
It's not going anywhere.
If you
I
can
wanna-
keep the waters at bay,
Yeah.
slap it on there.
Yeah.
With everything that has gone on this year, what has changed for you guys personally? Like, have you guys done anything different, either in your lives or in your house, with the fact that this has gone on? And just as an example, for me, I've been looking into and investing more into kind of home automation stuff, because in the event something happens, the less that you have to interact with items, the less chance of spreading it to the rest of the members of your family. So I've been looking into more, like your outlets, your switches, your lights, stuff like that you can just voice command, and you don't have to worry about if, did so-and-so sanitize this light switch after they used it? Did they, do whatever? Like, it gives you more options. Have you guys looked into anything or done anything different since this has come into play? Go ahead, Tommy. I see it.
So this is where my mind went, when you were talking about home automation. It's like, so when the robot apocalypse happens, I can say I took really good care of you, or death will come swiftly because they know where I am.
I treated you nicely. I said thank you after asking Alexa.
I'm not gonna lie, I do that to Google all the time in my house. I always say thank you to it just in case.
Because it's always
Do you
listening.
like when it says you're welcome?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, thank you, buddy. So for me, that one's a hard one. I think I've been actually spending a lot more time, because me being a social person, I'm not much of a homebody. I've spent a lot more time, not necessarily going out, but spending more time outdoors. I've been spending time. I have an electric skateboard. I've been going out on that. I've been taking the kids on bike trips. I've just kind of, it's going to sound kind of lame, but just going back to nature, just kind of getting out of the house in not I'm going to go out to a bar. I'm going to go out to a restaurant. I'm not going to do this. It's more of like, I'm going to just hang out outside for a bit and just enjoy being out there.
Yeah, I've pretty much gone to the same conclusion. I've spent most of my time here throughout the day in this one room throughout the whole week. But most of the time, I don't miss going out to the movie theaters or going to the mall or anything like that where there's large people grouping. But it's one of those things where you have to figure out if you don't do it for a long period of time, you really don't miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that we've always grown up with, going to the mall or something. Now I'm like, why would I go to the mall? I got Amazon right here. I can get a door tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can get an electric motorcycle in a month. It's phenomenal.
I think that I've been more creative on stuff to do in the house, or stuff to do around locally, in the sense of like we bought a tent and put sand in it, so it'd be like a beach for Alana, so she could be playing in the sand and do all that kind of stuff. So those little kind of extra creative things to do to keep entertaining and still contain some sort of closed off kind of deal. I think that is actually something that actually came really good out of, with all this being locked down.
So Cliff went Pinterest.
Yep.
I went Internet of Things. Tommy went outdoorsy.
Hey, Josh,
I got shut in.
You went full hermit.
Yeah. Here's a question: what tech has saved your life during this time?
In what sense?
Like entertainment, just keeping you from going insane. Something that you've been doing tech-wise, a gadget, something.
I mean, that's for me. That's what I've been talking about. That's been going into all that home automation as much as possible. Like, oh, it's so much fun though. It really is. And I've been looking at ways of like holiday lighting. Like, I'm not trying to go crazy with like music LED strips and stuff like that, but I'm looking at like
Why
the
not?
more. I don't want to be honest with you. I like the classic look, but like I've looked into ways of simplifying the setup and teardown for holidays.
Tear down.
So,
who takes their Christmas lights down?
Not in Florida.
So like I've looked into different things. Like that's where I've kind of spent my time, is how to make things easier going forward.
Mine's been.
Well, I know with gaming, because I've been dabbling in Apple Arcade, Stadia, because I got Stadia for free because I've been a long time Google Premium user. So they're like, hey, you want a free Google Pro or Stadia Pro with 3 months free? Like, okay, send me it.
So I also got that because I have Google cell phone service, and I'm playing. This is a dumpster fire that has worked out for some people and has not worked out for other people. I really wanted to play Cyberpunk. I was super pumped about it since I saw it on E3 in 2012, and as more and more came out about it, I got more and more excited. And as everybody on this call probably knows, it's impossible to find an Xbox series, whatever it's called, and then the PS5, and even the Oculus. The new Oculus 2 is sold out everywhere. So I really want to play this game. I had a weird feeling that if I bought it for my Xbox, it was going to run like butt because of how it looked. And lo and behold, I was right. Anybody that has it on the original first series are complaining about it. And I'm playing it on Stadia, and it works phenomenally. Like, I can play it on a tablet, my cell phone. I play it on my laptop upstairs or my tablet downstairs. I don't even have to move consoles around to play it. It's been working out great for me. So I was shocked at that.
Yeah, that's one game I have not gotten yet. I've been kind of waiting on that since I knew something was going to happen when the pre-hype for the past couple months is just ramping up, like stratosphere wise. I was like, it's going to be something similar to a Watch Dogs. Was it Watch Dogs Legion?
Yeah.
A Last of Us 2 kind of thing where it didn't work out great out of the gate. You could give it a month or two or a couple months afterwards, and then it would be really good and continuing to be even better the longer it goes.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
what I've been waiting on.
They did the same thing with The Witcher 3 that came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a rough beginning, but then you get 2.1 patch and clears up a bunch of stuff. I mean, that's just how things are normally.
Well, I feel like now, especially with video games, it's release date is the beta. And then 6 months later is the actual finished product. Because name a major title in the last 3 years that hasn't gone through, oh, this is complete crap, give it 3 months and it's going to be awesome.
True.
Yeah, I can't really think of anyone that
they
killed it out of the park.
They kept pushing it back and trying to avoid, because I'm sure this probably would have been a bigger problem.
Well, just playing it, like looking at the complexity and the density of that game, the fact that it runs on anything other than like an RTX 3090 is incredible to me. Like it's even just on Stadia, it is probably one of the best looking games I've ever seen, and the amount of stuff that you can do in it, it's the horde. I mean, the things that you do is borderline, I would say, Fallout-esque. It's Fallout, but in cyberpunk world.
Yep.
Because the crafting, everything that is involved is really intense stuff. I've been playing nonstop for a couple days now, and I think I'm at like 20% of the map, not even.
Oh wow!
So,
because I know a lot of people were complaining about the length of the tutorial.
oh, it's an hour. Yeah, it's an hour before you actually get into the story. But even the tutorial was really good. Like the characters you meet and stuff like that, you get involved.
Yeah.
But now
and GLaDOS shows up.
Oh really?
Oh yeah,
What?
GLaDOS. Yeah, she's an AI in it. And it's her, and she's testing you, and she promises cake.
Mhm.
It is one of the best Easter eggs I've ever. All of a sudden, I started playing the game. I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "This is the best crossover ever." She's a rogue AI in a car, a self-driving car that you have to hunt down.
That is amazing.
Now, Joe, I know you have Xbox. Have you been looking at the upgrade, or are you still continuing?
I'm waiting.
Waiting?
Yeah, I'm in no rush to upgrade right now. I haven't really even played the Xbox that much, like actual games. And the games that I have been playing because of Game Pass, the games that I have been playing have been more indie type games instead of your more big budget. So like the game that I was playing just recently was Yes, Your Grace. And it's a really fun game. It's like, think of back to old school King's Quest graphics, like the more pixelated, true, like 16-bit, maybe 32-bit, graphics. And then, but it's a castle, like you're a king basically, and you have to manage your subjects. Like people come into you're sitting on the throne, and people come in and have requests basically, but you have limited money, limited supplies, and you have to run your kingdom, but not everyone has the kingdom in their best interest. So you have to, you're going through trying to decide, and you get into the middle of a war. Like you have to manage the people and stuff like. It's just, I don't know. It was really interesting. It's a simple game, but it was pretty interesting.
This is how
you
it starts.
Be like Lannister it.
You're going to now run for city council, and then the company's like, I kind of like this power.
I'm going straight for president.
I'll vote for you.
Grassroots, let's do this.
Do what you can do. You heard it here first.
You want to talk about making change, boy? Let's do this. Florida man for president.
Oh God, that's the memes I can imagine.
Oh, speaking of, we forgot one other great thing that was brought to us by 2012. I mean, 2020. 2012. I wish I could go back.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when the world ended, right?
Joe Exotic.
Oh yeah.
Joe
that
Exotic
was this year.
happened. Tiger King.
Wow, that was
this year.
Like I said, this year is just so much.
I think if that didn't happen, I don't think if we didn't have a pandemic and there's nothing to watch, I don't think that show would have been. Yes, it is weird and it's quirky, and I get it. It would have been still through, but I don't think it would have been like, oh my God.
Yeah, I agree. I know for me, and I don't know if it runs the same for you. I've finished Netflix. I finished it.
You finished an MMO?
Now, did you go into the foreign, like the indie, the Bollywoods? and the
Oh yeah,
Korean
yeah,
films.
oh yeah. Are you kidding me? That was
Okay.
like the
I
first
was gonna
place
say,
I went.
Tommy, you have a VPN? You can go into the UK and India and see all the
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
they have.
We're going there now because
Yeah, Tommy's leveled up to whatever country he's going to be in.
you can understand. Whenever I watch something on Netflix, especially anything that just newly released, I watch like one episode to see. And like the last one I watched was it's actually based off of a manga. It's Japanese, but it's dubbed. It's Alex in Borderland or something like that. Alice in Borderland.
I saw
And
the trailer for that. Yeah.
yeah, that's messed up stuff. That is 100%, live version of a very gritty manga. Like it was really good. So
That would be the thing that I think that would came out really good is that we've been pushing more towards in-home stuff. So like Trolls 2 and those movies that come out that have come direct release to instant stream. I think that's kind of a big thing.
What
and I
was
think
it? Go ahead.
No, I was saying, and with all the stuff that's coming out, like Wonder Woman's coming out on HBO Plus
Christmas,
for
yeah.
Christmas.
Mhm.
Same thing with Soul that's coming out there, and even HBO I think said that they're going to do next 4 or 5 big budgets are going to
think-
come to stream.
I think it was Warner Brothers
Warner Brothers?
specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, that said the next year of all of their major releases were going to be split between theater and home release, where they would go to theaters, but they would go to limited theaters, and they would also go to home. So the people that want to go see it in theaters, they can, but the people that don't have to wait. They can also see it at home at the same time.
Smart
Yeah,
business
it's almost
model.
like a same day release.
Yeah. But it was just going to be for this next year. Like it's not a permanent thing. It's just for 2021.
But if they
Which
get a
is
big enough
really
profit, I
big.
think they'll continue to keep doing it.
And I think that's what they're testing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
well, and ticket sales for movie theaters have been going down the drain anyhow. One of the things that I've learned through my work is a lot of companies now, because it's been so long in different industries, are like, it's not going to change. Like people are going to work from home. We're going to change how people work. Automation I know through my business, automation has been one of the major questions that every company's been asking us to help out with. It's no longer, I need gooder internet. It's how can I have everybody work from home and have robots do all the labor?
Mhm.
And I think even, telehealth has been jumped gigantically in the last year. And a lot of people are saying it's better than going to the doctor. I don't have to, my doctor contacts me. I'm not waiting in an appointment. I'm not waiting in the waiting room next to somebody sneezing and snotting all over me. It's just my doctor calls me up on my cell phone. I say I have these problems, and then they send me drugs. So
And oh god, how many years ago was it? There was a big uproar back when there was a talks about raising minimum wage, more than just this most recent one.
Yeah.
Forever ago, where they were talking about fast food restaurants that were starting to automate and go peopleless.
yeah.
And that was forever ago. And I think there was actually an Arby's, I think, out in New Mexico that actually did go completely automated, except for 2 or 3 people. And that ran the entire restaurant. Everything was machines. And everyone was like, oh my God, what, guess what's going to start happening now?
See, you say that, but has anything that taught me out of this? That's not going to happen. As much as I think automation is going to happen and it's going to happen, I don't think it is, because we weirdly depend on people. Just showing as of
True.
this year, we lost a lot of our population as a whole, as a global, and we're like, oh, that would have been the thing that pushed automation. No. Not one bit.
See, I'm thinking it's more along the lines of we will, but we're not going to automate to what we thought.
True.
Think of the self-driving car.
Yeah.
Okay, that is slowly more catching speed. People are starting to kind of get the comfort level with it. They're getting the idea of it. A lot of people look at the Tesla cars because of that self-driving feature. You know what I mean? You still have to have a human interaction. You still, even the cars themselves are like, hey, if you fall asleep, we're pulling over.
Yeah, where you got to pay
We're not
attention.
going to keep going.
Yeah, the
You
alarm goes
have to
off.
be here. You got to keep touching the wheel. You got to be here. So they can do that same process. So the humans are still there, but they're not necessarily touching the food. They're not necessarily interacting with other people. You know what I mean? Like there's other aspects that they could be doing. You know what I mean?
True.
Well,
So
I think
go
one of
ahead.
the things that's holding back a lot of that automation and IoT devices, and even Elon Musk said the same thing. It's bandwidth. We don't, especially in the United States, we're like ranked
Yeah.
30th in internet accessibility. And I know for me, and I work in telecom now. Our competitors are upping their 5G. Like I'll give you an example. In my small town, we weren't supposed to get 5G in our area for another 5 years. That was the roadmap. I have 5G throughout my entire neighborhood because a lot of companies are looking to 5G to help through this process and the business changes that are coming through. And a lot of that stuff that was one of the biggest roadblocks for having a lot of automated systems is the lack of, all right, you need an internet here, we're going to have to run a cable. Well, we have LTE. Well, LTE is not fast enough, so we're going to move over to 5G. 5G is fast enough. So I think that's going to be, I think we're going to see more automation, but I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be to the extent that people want, although I think it might be a generational thing. I know my parents might be the same thing with you, is my mom doesn't understand what an Uber is. She doesn't want to understand what an Uber is. Even my sister that's a little bit older than me, like I was like, oh, I'm going to order Starbucks and go pick it up. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, and she goes to Starbucks every day. I was like, I just order on the app and go pick it up. Our generation's really comfortable working with devices and not having a lot of social interaction when we do our stuff. Like, especially now, we have all of our stuff delivered. Like everything's delivered. I don't want to look at somebody. I don't want to involve.
That was the one thing when they were doing all the pickup stuff before all this. We were like, I was an early adopter of I don't want to see people. I wanted to go open back of my car. You toss it in, I close it, I go home.
Yeah,
I don't have to be in. I don't want to walk through the store.
I don't want to walk in Walmart. I'm okay parking out front, and even that's sketchy.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going in there anymore.
Right.
I know. It was earlier this week. It was actually Thursday. Had to go out to an actual store and went to Target and Walmart because someone forgot to pick up something for her classmate. I'm like walking through. I'm just like, it feels so strange. I'm gonna walk through a store with everybody there, and of course it's also during the holidays, and it's around 5:00. Everyone's out trying to do their last minute shopping. I'm like, well, no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
The problem that I have with the online shopping is the availability of some items. Like if there's something you want to get, you'll go online, and because it hasn't been fully adopted yet, there's still lots in store only.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, come on.
Wait until there's drones, man. Wait until there's drones. And if you have an IoT house, they're going to know exactly what window to drop it off at.
Yeah, then your window automatically opens, and then tray pops out.
Not even that. If you have it, you got the auto unlock of your door. It'll just unlock, slowly open the door. It'll drop it off inside, go back out. Door locks behind it.
Nope. No.
Amazon's doing if you link up your Amazon account with the MyQ account, you get $30 credits for your next order. So when your Amazon delivery person comes in, opens a garage door, sets your stuff inside, and they hit a button, close the door, and off you go. And you get $30 for that. I'm like,
They were doing that. They were doing that 2-3 years ago, I want to say.
I remember you talking about it, Joe.
Yeah, where it was, I want to say it was
New York.
Walmart. But I want to say it was Walmart that was also doing it, where they had a thing with a certain door lock and camera.
It was Amazon.
Was it Amazon? Okay.
Yeah. California and New York, they were doing that.
Where they had their own key to unlock your house, but it was only during the drop-off window frame or whatever. And that they'd come in. There was Walmart. Walmart was doing it with its groceries.
That's right. They were doing it.
Into your house, they could put your groceries away for you and leave.
No, I don't want that.
They were actually testing that.
It's too easy to mess with people. Like I'd have them open up my cabinet and just have like the most inappropriate thing you can think of in there.
Just pack it full of stuff and open the door.
Like, this person party is way too hard for me. Like that's what I want them to think.
Yeah, it's just automation. How far do you want to go with automation?
Yeah, exactly. How comfortable do you feel? With some machine doing it for you. Like
The machine,
what the
not a
machine's
problem.
doing.
Did you guys see the new Ring camera that they're coming out with? The
No,
drone.
no.
Oh,
There
yes,
is-
I saw that.
It is the most insane Cyberdyne level thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And what it does is it ties into your alarm system in your house with the other Ring cameras. And what winds up happening is if it hears a noise or just thinks that something's funky going on, the drone will go boop, pop out of this little thing with its little propellers and start flying around your house with a camera. And then if it sees anything, it will follow that, whatever it does, around your house, or you can have it so it does patrols. So like,
I'm okay with that.
it just pops out. It's the
I
most.
think that's cool.
I agree.
It's not gonna last though, because if you
Oh,
have
no.
pets, that thing is gonna be
Oh, yeah.
broken.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
You
it
don't have a
doesn't.
cat.
But I think that's just funny. Like I don't know why. I like that for an entertainment value, not so
I
much
can-
security, but like
I can see that, and then getting mixed with the Second Amendment. That's where it's going to get mixed into. It's going to just now have a turret.
And some people will actually, makers will 3D print a scaffold that can hold a small caliber gun for it to
little
lift
Derringer.
off.
That's all it needs.
Yeah.
Little Derringer.
Don't give anybody any ideas.
Too late.
They've already had these ideas.
Oh yeah.
Like
This
back in 10, 20 years ago, what if I had something fly around with a gun?
Yeah.
I'm already thinking it doesn't even need to be a small little drone. It could be a big boy drone that sits on the roof.
It slowly walks on top of the roof.
It just stays landed on the roof. As soon as any camera picks up something, you just hear kick it up and go.
Why stop there? You can actually buy the Boston Dynamics little dog robot.
Those robo dogs.
Yeah.
Those things, that is one of those uncanny valley things that whenever I watch it, I'd be like, that's really cool. But it also really freaks you out when you watch it.
Especially have like the attachment, the little hand attachment.
Yeah. Well, the fact that it doesn't have a head too, it's just a torso and legs. Is gonna, because when it has to look down at something, it doesn't like move naturally. It's like
my favorite. It's so stupid, but my favorite is the videos of them testing those equipment and people putting the animated silly faces
Oh yeah.
on them.
Oh, the doodles.
Yeah, there's a whole Reddit based off of that.
No, I like it when it's from Boston and they're like, "Oh, you owe me money," and just start hitting at it. It's like, no, why am I doing this?
I'm just trying to get home.
Oh yeah, the Quarter crew did a little video of when they had the Atlas and then they unboxed the little Robo Dog and they just like kill the dog and the thing's like moving
I don't know.
and it picks it up, runs off.
So another thing that was saved this year is Star Wars because of the Mandalorian.
Yes.
No spoilers,
I've actually
though.
watched that.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
you
spoiler.
haven't?
Oh no, I've seen it, but I know
okay.
I know for a fact that there's people who haven't seen the newest.
Well, you see what happens is that Dumbledore comes.
Dumbledore.
It's gonna be like Patton Oswald's rant on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
And they
The
did.
filibuster.
Yeah,
They truly did such a good job, though.
Yeah.
They really did.
but
They need to give more series to Dave Filoni and John Favreau.
Oh yeah.
I think they have it like kind of like what James Gunn did with Guardians. Just okay, we're not 100% sure. We'll let you go run with it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And that's kind of what they did with The Mandalorian. They're like, it's off canon in the sense it's not linked to any of them, minus some of this newer stuff that's come through. But like, you can just let it go and just see how it goes. Oh, it's working great.
Yeah. It's the shock that like, oh, if you just let a creative person be creative, people will like what they make.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like they took a lot of inspiration from Marvel with what they did with their Netflix series and what they took from it and was like, let's do that with our IP, the property that we have, and they really did it. And I'm hoping that they actually, because I know there were talks about it forever ago when they actually, when Disney got Marvel, of what they would do with those Netflix Marvel series. I'm hoping that they take this as inspiration and do something with it.
You might not have seen it. They had Investor Day, which was
yeah.
like 2 weeks
And
ago or
they
something like that.
announced
Oh yeah.
a ton.
Yep.
It's like 20 something shows that they're
movies,
in process
yeah.
or thinking of.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, and my girlfriend and I were having this conversation. Disney's in a perfect place because they have that FU money where they're like, oh, we're going to create a mini series and we're not going to get like an actor that looks like the actor that played them in the movie. No, we're going to pay them $20 million to just make episodes for us. Like, it's like, oh, you've got, WandaVision coming out, which looks phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And it's like, they're not like, oh, we found a woman that looks like Wanda and we have a person that looks like that guy because we can put them in makeup. And, it's like, no, we hired them. They're ours now. We own them.
I'm excited
the
about
two
Loki.
is WandaVision and Loki look really interesting.
I'm excited about Loki. That looks like it's going to be really good.
And Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That one looks funny.
It's like a buddy cop type.
Yeah, it's buddy cop. Yeah,
that's a lot of thing that MCU is very good at. They make movies that are like one particular genre. So like a spy movie is the
Captain
America type.
Yeah.
Then you got the funny comedies of the Thors.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that they use the same technology that they used in Mandalorian too.
Oh yeah, that stuff is amazing.
They did such a good job, and it makes shooting so much easier for them. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the documentary for the Mandalorian and how they I hope they do that because that was
it's required viewing.
Yeah, it really is because it changes how you view the Mandalorian.
Yeah, when you realize that that's just basically it's no green screen, and that's why it looks so phenomenal. It's not green screen, so you're getting all that natural, projected light from the background on the actors, so you don't have to worry about lighting and adjusting that stuff
and editing and all that.
Yeah. I love messing around in Adobe Premiere. It's my hobby right now, and like looking at what I can do with the green screen compared to what they are doing with the LED technology that they're using and the camera mapping. It's mind blowing to me. But it's like I'm amazed no one came up with it before because it just makes a ridiculous amount of sense.
And where are they going to go from here?
The technology.
Yeah, the real-time game rendering engines that they use.
Yeah. It's all done in Unreal.
It makes me wonder where they're going to go next. Because if there's one thing that Star Wars has brought us from its inception, and that is new technology with how to do things. In one form or function, every Star Wars film has brought us some type of new technology.
Sci-fi in general, but yes.
Star Trek. That's a leaps and bounds. Star Wars, it always leaps a couple of generations ahead. And I think, especially with, once again, Disney has that FU money. They're like, is that going to cost $1 billion? Yeah, go ahead. Is it cool? Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and just do that thing.
It's just something where we look at for 2021 coming up is, of course, we got Loki, Winter Soldier and Falcon, WandaVision. And I think that was it for
next year. Yeah,
for next year. Just for MCU.
I think
just MCU.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to be either late or beginning of 2022 because I don't think they've finished production yet.
I'm looking forward to Obi-Wan. That's the one that I'm really, really pumped about.
Yeah. Especially since they got Ewan McGregor back.
Yeah, I liked Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. That I think that was one of the few saving graces.
Weren't they also?
Did you hear Kristen Henderson is coming back as Vader?
As Darth Vader.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah. That's going to be interesting.
No.
The guy that's, once again, Disney has that money where they're like, because Christian Henderson said, I will never act ever again. And all of a sudden the mouse shows up at his front door and be like, are you sure about that, buddy? Because
look, all the money.
Your life. Yeah, it's like this series literally ruined your life and your career. You want some money?
Makes me think of the South Park, how they how they portray the mouse.
Oh, yeah.
When you say the mouse showed up at his door, like that's what I'm picturing is the South Park mouse.
I am a gigantic Disney fan. I love Disney. That corporation is a monster.
It is.
It's just a monster. Like it is. It's just insane.
Well, it's all the technology that they're doing because they got the money to do it.
Yeah.
They got the flying robot that they've been working on, doing all the stunts.
Yeah,
And
Spider-Man robot.
Yeah, that's what I saw. It was like where they're doing Adventures Land, and all of a sudden they had a quick little thing. I'm like, oh, that looks familiar. That's what they're going to be using it instead of like a actual human stunt performer.
Yeah,
that could get hurt. They don't need to pay union dues. They don't need to pay insurance.
That's where Disney looks at it. It's like, we don't have to pay union dues. All we have to do is repair it. It doesn't get injured. Great.
No liability unless he becomes self-aware and starts murdering cast members. But
they're gonna go like Itchy and Scratchy Land. They're gonna go full automation animatronics.
Oh, yeah.
As long as we get some better animatronics, that's all that matters.
I don't know. Obviously I haven't been to Disney since COVID, but like some of their especially the projection animatronics that they have, crazy, insane.
Well, it's the Navi one, and River.
The Shaman and the Honda.
Shaman.
And Honda is the most advanced one, and the Shaman is the other advanced one that they have. But it's insane how, and also Disney now has a all-inclusive resort, Star Wars hotel. Like, that's insane.
I haven't
It's going to be expensive. Oh yeah, it's like you get 2 days fully within. You're just locked inside the building for like 2 days.
You get to go. You just go to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it's still insane. Like, once again, but there's people that will pay the money for that Disney experience. I've been on Disney cruises. They're double the price of any other cruise you're going to go on, but there's a reason why. When you go on it, you're like, wow, all right, this is why this is this expensive. So.
And then you got a whole bunch of rich nerds out there that will love to do this. That have.
Oh yeah, I'm already saving up. It's.
Refinance your house a couple times.
My girlfriend's an enabler because she's like, no, what are you, dumb? Idiot.
I wonder if the cruise industry is going to change with all this. You haven't really heard.
Has to.
I'm surprised we haven't heard anything from the cruise industry.
No, they did testing. They did testing.
And
crew-only cruises.
And it came back with tests positives.
Yeah. Listen, people get the poops on cruises all the time. Get the poop stomachs, and it's like, but you're gonna hold back COVID on a cruise too? No, that's not gonna happen.
Well, and you've got a whole different.
Poops.
You got international martial law too on those cruises.
Yeah, they just throw you overboard.
That's a whole another thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna go back to.
It's like, as long as you're past that particular mile marker, then
they're going to start marooning people on islands. Go back to the old days of pirates.
I wouldn't be surprised. You have a fever. Well, I've been out in the sun all day. You have a fever. You can't get on the boat. That's how that's going to roll.
Yeah.
Especially for Disney.
You're going to be quarantined for 2 weeks. Yeah, they're going to stick you on a private island for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. You're stuck to your room. You got armed guards.
It's like a leper colony.
Yeah.
It is. They make a quick detour to the island. It's like dump you off the balcony.
It sounds about right. 100%.
Yeah. So much has happened this year. It's kind of hard to keep everything all.
We've literally covered
organized. This is the tip of the iceberg. That's pretty much all that happened that we talked about in this past hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, one last thing. We were also massively hacked, like, as a country.
Oh,
yeah, that was the thing.
That just happened not too long ago.
Yeah,
literally a couple weeks ago. Yeah, they found out about it like 2 weeks ago. That the Russia has access to all of our things, all of the things.
I'm shocked.
Joe's house screwed.
What are they gonna see?
This is when all the lights just turn off in his house right now. I'm saying it.
All your automation is done.
Oh no! Then I just got to physically flip the switch. Darn.
No, because they hacked the power grid too, so you can't.
Yeah.
All right. Then it doesn't matter. They're not hacking my house then.
Joe's like the Battlestar Galactica. Everything's all air gapped.
No. Look at him.
Eh,
He's like, what are you gonna do? Take my Funkos?
yeah, really. Whatever.
Take the kid first.
Ah.
It's fine.
So Tommy, you still got your podcast? Are you doing, or is that on hiatus?
That's on a hiatus during the COVID thing. It kind of went, just kind of meandered off. I'm trying to think of a couple other ideas because I have, as you guys know, I got back into doing a lot of video stuff, a lot of video work. So now I've got a ridiculous amount of investment in camera equipment that's not doing much of anything other than videos of my stepkids. So eventually I'm going to have to come up with some rational reason why I have all this equipment.
You can be an accountant, Tommy. It's okay.
Yeah.
It could be the next Ryan's World.
Oh, yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah, start getting those toys and start opening them on YouTube. I hear that's a big thing.
If I could find a way to go ahead and just do car reviews, like straight pipes or something like that, 100%.
I'm sure there's something out. There's a niche for everybody.
If I had the money, I'd do something like Hoovie's Garage, where I just buy dilapidated cars, luxury cars, and see if I can fix them or not. It is the dumbest car show on YouTube, as he always states. That's like my dream, just to be able to do something like that.
Cliff, you got any special projects that you're doing?
No.
No.
Keep working and keeping the household contained. That's it.
Keeping the little one alive.
Yeah.
And happy yet.
Against her better judgment.
What about you, Joe?
Nothing much. Just trying to remember to keep recording these and just keep plugging away.
Well, going into next year, we're going to be going on a full schedule that every month you'll expect to see us. No more multi-month gaps. We're going to try to do 12 episodes a year.
That's a good goal.
That's a good goal. It's a very easy goal to keep. Now, the best way you can do is follow the Twitter. They're at Geek 2.0 podcast. 20 podcast, no point. And that's the best way you can find out any information. I'm also going to be changing that. All these videos that are episodes will be going on to the Geek 2.0 podcast YouTube channel with highlights on the Collective Network. So kind of like split it, but keep everything all in house. Yes. It's the thing over there, but it's over there.
It's on the internet, so you can find it.
Yeah, and that's
No
also
excuses.
the Twitter for the Collective Network. And I'm also doing a couple other projects going to be starting up next year that deal with a lot of streamer help, gaming stuff, and stuff like that. And one last thing is we started up a Guilded. It's like Discord, but it's a community for everyone that's involved or interested in family-friendly, safe-for-work content that's there at Guilded. You just download an app or you go on the website and talk about stuff there. So that's pretty much it, folks. Thank you for coming by, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure.
Well, we'll do more of these next year as well.
Sounds good to me. I'm always up for it.
All right, from myself, Joe, Tommy, and Cliff, I want to say keep staying safe out there. Wear the mask or don't. It's up to you. I mean, it's your body, your choice, right?
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Don't be that person. Don't. And put it over your nose, please. Like, you breathe out of your nose. You know that, right?
Over the nose, no diaper chin.
Yeah.
And
2-ply.
we'll
Yeah.
hopefully have a better year next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
But until then, you have a good night or good morning, afternoon, whatever.